Hello again, YouTube. Welcome back to Just Get a Tesla. And I am in Peterhead, actually at the most easterly point in the whole of Scotland. And this morning, in this Tesla Model Y, I'm going to drive to Ardnamurchan, the most westerly point in Scotland. This is the most easterly point on the Scottish mainland. Here, literally here. Well, okay, that wall. You cannot get any further east than this. So, I am going to go across and see a friend who is actually staying at the moment on holiday over on the other side. And you might be thinking, that sounds absolutely potty, and sure, it probably is. But then again, I've got a YouTube channel to create content for, and I've got a Tesla Model Y, which I enjoy driving, and why not? Let's just go and do it. And when I say east to west, I really do mean east to west. You can see we're over by the arrow. You can't go in. I hate the way it does that. We're over by the arrow. You cannot go any further across than this. And we're going all the way across Dufftown, Aviemore, Fort William, where we're going to supercharge, and then over to the lighthouse at the end of the world. And there it is. So it's going to take me, it says, 3 hours 45 minutes to get to Fort William, and then on from there is, yeah, it's quite a long way, because once you get past basically, well, you start off on the road to the Isles, but when you turn off that, it's all kind of bibbly bobbly and single tracky. Basically, if you like my driving videos, you're gonna love this. We're a few miles out of Peterhead now, and I've just noticed that I hadn't actually reset the east to west trip meter, so we need to add 5 miles onto that. Sorry. Anyway, just to tell you a little bit about how I've set the car up for this trip, because people do wonder, oh, how do you do trips out into the wild and the remotes? Well, putting it quite simply, there is a supercharger at Inverness, there's a supercharger at Aviemore, there's a supercharger at Fort William, and if I needed more charging, there's lots of Charge Place Scotland chargers dotted around all over the place. So there is no problem with charging, even if you are going out into the wilds, as we're going to be doing on this trip. But as usual, I charged the car up overnight. Unusually, it's been charged up to 100%. Now, I've said on previous videos that I do not charge the car to 100%, and in this case, it was not my intention to charge it to 100%. I thought I had set it to charge to 95, which is as far as I usually go, so that you've still got full regen braking. So I don't quite know what happened, other than there was a software update installed last night, and has it gone a little bit gaga? I don't know. Anyway, 100% if you do that occasionally. So this is a long range NCA battery, NCA, nickel, cadmium, manganese, NCM, whatever it is. You are not recommended to go to 100% on a daily basis. Well, I don't, but charging it to 100% if you need it, no problem at all. Just don't leave the battery sat at 100% for a long period. So having accidentally charged it a few more percent than needed, that's no problem, because we are just wafting our way along. In the 26 miles now since I left home, I've done 234 watt hours per mile, which is pretty gentle. But then again, it is 12 degrees at 7 in the morning. It is mid-August as I'm recording this, but it won't be when you're watching this. And let's just say I've got quite a few videos already in the can and stacked up ready to go. So if you want to subscribe to the channel, please do so, because there is loads of good content coming up on Just Get a Tesla, and you really should be watching it. So I'm going to go along here at the speed limit, and this is something that happens quite a lot up here in the northeast of Scotland, which is people will hoof it along, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's perfectly safe in terms of overtaking, and they're just getting out of my way. I'd rather them be in front of me than behind, whatever. So we are on probably the biggest leg of the trip, which is the 3.5 hours across to Fort William, and I'll see you a little bit later on. Meanwhile, here's some scenery. just gone through Speen Bridge, so now 8 miles from Fort William. It has stopped drizzling, good. But we have got a poorly supercharger at Fort William. So although I am preconditioning the battery, if I click on the icon, and this is the fun bit. So Fort William did get an upgrade, I think last year. So it's 6 stalls and they're not tied to each other. It's a 250 kilowatt site, so they're V3 chargers, so you don't need to worry about people sharing stalls and splitting the power. But of the 6 stalls, it says 1A and 1C are both out of order. So from 6 stalls, you've gone to 4 stalls, and it's Saturday morning in August. So it's pretty likely that I'm going to have to queue. So at the moment, it's saying up to 5 minutes wait time on arrival. Okay, and it's saying there are 2 cars en route. Well, obviously I am one of those, so we'll see when we get there. I did have a quick look at it a minute ago, and it did say 1 stall was available, so people are coming and going. I also know that there are some non-Tesla chargers now at Fort William, because at one point it was just the Tesla ones, and that really was a problem. There are some other ones, but I'm going to use the superchargers because that's what I do. Am I slightly annoyed at having to queue? Maybe a little bit, but it's going to be, if it happens, the second time that I have ever had to queue for a supercharger in a month off 2 years of having this car. And I do an awful lot of supercharger stops because I do travel up and down the country. So it is what it is. Final trundle into Fort William, and it is a trundle. This place is absolutely rammed, which I suppose on a summer Saturday isn't really a surprise. But the interesting bit is the display showing with the supercharger status is now saying there's 2 stalls available on arrival. Now, the question is, are the 2 stalls available on arrival the broken ones? 1 Alpha or 1 Charlie? Actually, I don't think it looks that bad, does it? We plenty of spaces. What is it on about? Right, so we've only got 1 Polestar that's on, so that's 1 Alpha, 1 Bravo, and that's knackered. Right, okay. What we'll do is we'll go right up to the end and stick it on 2 Charlie.
Sorry for interrupting this week's video, but this channel is now sponsored by, well, me, because we have founded Millibricks, which is the new online UK web store for military brick construction sets. Milli bricks, so Lego compatibles but themed on tanks and planes and trucks and all of the things that Lego don't do. If you're a vehicle fan and you're here, then this is a brilliant place to be able to get all of the more interesting and historical sets that you just can't get through Lego. If you go onto our web store and put the code GET, you will get 10% off everything, which is a fantastic deal. Unfortunately, if you are outside of the UK, we're not shipping abroad yet, but we'll be doing soon. So don't forget millibricks.co.uk for all of your military brick sets like all of these. Back to the video.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what it's on about when it says that you're going to have to queue, because I get here and there's no one here at all, apart from a single Polestar, and I'm not sure. Sorry, I've literally just come and walked past this. It said that 1 Charlie, which is that one, and 1 Alpha, which is that one, are broken. But look at this. This is 1 Bravo, and yeah, that's properly broken. That is most definitely not working. On my way now back out to Fort William, and it's again lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of cars all heading into a relatively tight little town. Great for tourist shops, less good if you're trying to get around. As I was coming out of the supercharger as well, there were several other vehicles had come in. So the Polestar wasn't plugged into the supercharger, it was plugged into the ChargePlay Scotland unit next to it. We then had an MG4 who parked up, a French MG4 that parked up next to me. They had the port on the left side, which is the right side, and not the right side, which is the wrong side. You then had somebody in a Renault Zoe trying to work out how they could connect up. A Zoe's even CCS. I didn't think Zoe's were CCS, so I'm not quite sure that he'd be able to hook up to a Tesla Supercharger anyway. Plus a guy in a Kona, where again I'm not entirely sure where the flap is on a Kona, but he appeared to have stuck himself onto the stall that was visibly broken and then looking puzzled. Anyway, we are about to take the road to the Isles, the A830 off to the west. It is a couple of minutes before 11 o'clock, so that stop was about 25 minutes, of which I spent all of 5 minutes sat waiting for it to finish, guys. So again, I wasn't hanging around and waiting, but I am going to get across to the Ardnamurchan lighthouse, which is the far western point in mainland Scotland. It's going to take about 2 hours and 20 minutes, despite the fact that, well, it probably isn't that far. And as you can see, it's a bit of a grey and uninviting day out here. And this is just the west being wet. But that's okay, it's Scotland and it's the summer. And just bring a coat and you'll be fine. I do like this part of Scotland quite a lot. It's just grand. Around every single corner, there's something else to go, oh wow, at. Which, okay, Aberdeenshire is beautiful, but it's not as grand as this. Some of the cliffs, yes, but there is just something about this landscape that makes me think, wowzers. So, anyway, we are making good progress. I am just kind of wafting it along because there's quite a bit of, bloody hell, thank you, quite a bit of traffic, as you can see, and we are on 246 watt hours per mile since we left the Supercharger. So what's that, just under just over 4 miles per kilowatt hour. So we're making good economy. Not that we really need it, because we've got plenty of charge to get us out to Ardnamurchan and back to the Supercharger again, which is basically the trip. I am doing the land option to get out to Ardnamurchan. So this basically goes west and then goes south and then across that way. There is a ferry option, which doesn't appear to be dramatically quicker, but has got the risk of the ferry goes across every half an hour and can only take a finite number of cars, and it's a Saturday in August. So I'm expecting that the ferry at Corran could be quite busy, which is why I'm going to avoid it completely on this trip. We are west of Acharacal, brilliant name, and now we are properly onto the Ardnamurchan Peninsula, and as you can see, we are on this single track road, which is basically it now, all the way along the peninsula as far as the lighthouse. And I do get various comments left on videos and questions asked, I think predominantly by American viewers, and genuinely thanks so much guys for being here. I am blessed to have you, and the questions and the comments are always about this kind of road and how to drive it. Now this one at least has got fairly regular and clear passing places. The sight lines aren't brilliant, so I can't see very far along this road, which is why I am actually leaning forward so that I can try and peer around the bends and over the blind summits as we get to them, just to try and extend
as far as I can see, because the rule on a road like this basically is you have to be able to stop in the distance that you can see. It's that simple, because if somebody's coming the other way, you need to be able to stop and hope, and it is hope, that the person going the other way is also driving in that way, because if they're not, then it could get a bit messy. So I will now wait here and let the two gentlemen on the motorbikes go past, and then we carry on. That is cooperative driving, but everybody is driving, or in their case riding, defensively. You do not want to get it where basically you're just hooning it along and you can't see, and something suddenly is in the way and the only thing you can do is go off, right? That's probably a bad day. But I've seen quite a few people do it, or where they simply have no clue how to drive on a road like this. Now suddenly it's widened out and it's nearly full width, or passable width at least anyway, so that's fine. But then you go over that blind summit and it immediately cuts down to half the width and you're back to single track again. You've just got to be careful. Now, at least there are passing places like here. I have been on roads, and you've seen them on my videos, where you don't even have that. And the simple answer to how do you drive on a road like that is hope nobody is coming the other way. Because if they are coming the other way, you're going to have a problem, which is that somebody might need to back up on a road where reversing is probably going to be unpleasant. So have a think about it. If you're in a smaller car, that probably helps. This is reasonably wide, which doesn't help. I did once take the Volvo S90, which is quite long and also respectably wide. I took that on some mountain passes in the Lake District and had a bad time where there were a lot of people very stupidly parked, and you were basically having to pick your way in between boulders and parked vehicles, and it was a bit of a squish is the best way I can describe it. It really was an absolute tight squeeze. This is also going to be a tight squeeze if it gets a little bit pinchy, but again, you just got to drive within the boundaries of what you can see and be prepared to stop. It is pretty though, this road. You know, it's obviously very green on this side of the country because it's very wet, and that just makes it, you know, lush. And here we are running along the lock side, and you know, it's a nice place to be. Easier for me to go back into there, so that's why I waved him back. We've got two inbound. I'll just drop into here and let them go on past me. Thank you very much. Yeah, challenging but fun. But I am having to watch because some of these summits are, like this one, pretty blind, and also the road surface. How can I put it? There's a thing in the UK called crown camber, where they set out the road so that the centre line is higher than the sides, just basically so that water will roll slightly off. Some of this is a real hump in the middle, which isn't great if you've got a car with bits that can scrape on the bottom, like all of them basically, and combine that with a few potholes, and there've been a couple of bits where you kind of look at it with polished tarmac as well and go, ooh. But of course, I never have the camera rolling for those bits. Sorry. Suddenly the landscape changes. The trees abruptly stop, and we're up onto this ledge, and this is narrow. So I am going to take it relatively gentle, although I'm looking actually all the way up the ridgeline and looking for any vehicles coming in the other direction, and I can't see any. So my increasing presumption is that this whole section of road is clear, so I need worry a little bit less about other vehicles, although you're still thinking maybe a cyclist or something if they're really brave, but at the moment, no, we still seem to be relatively clear. It is narrow. Have I said it's narrow? It's narrow. Yeah, I'm going to have to do a bit of shunty, thank you very much, because otherwise I'm going to miss my turn for the lighthouse, which is up here. How far to the lighthouse? 5.8 more miles. This has been quite a long leg, I will be honest. From Acaracle westwards on the peninsula, yeah, it does kind of drag on a wee bit, but never mind, we are nearly there. So the east to west challenge is nearly done, but of course then I've got to drive home again, which is almost the same thing in reverse. I am a sucker for punishment, although to be fair, I have got this car to go out and do it in, and it's fun, and I'm keeping the thing forever, and I'm treating it reasonably well, so I don't need to worry about putting miles on it, because that's what it's built for. As we go forward on this channel, and make sure you've subscribed if you haven't done so already, but as we go forward, we are going to find out what is it like to run a Tesla long time, high mileage, well, high-ish. I'm not doing 50,000 miles a year as I once was, but I'm on 38 and a bit thousand, and I've got a month to go until I've had it for 2 years, and it'll be comfortably north of 40,000 by the time it gets there. So 20,000 a year is decent. I'm going to keep running this car, and if you subscribe, you can come with me on the journey. There it is. The lighthouse at the end of the world. Well, part of the world. So we can now see the lighthouse poking its head up over the top. This is Ardnamurchan Point, the most westerly place you can go on the mainland of Scotland. And I've driven here from Ness Point in Peterhead, the most easterly point you can go in mainland Scotland. So a straight east to west, albeit with a charging stop in Fort William, but that wasn't really a particular diversion off it. And by the time I get there, it's going to be 239 miles, and that probably doesn't sound like a lot, and I suppose it isn't a lot, but it certainly feels like a lot, because quite a few of these roads are a bit on the, well, I couldn't have put it better myself, slow side. Oh dear, you really do have to crawl over these. Gosh, no wonder it says slow. You can't see anything over that. And now they give us traffic lights. I'm guessing because there's no passing place on this bit, but end of the public road, good. So we'll pull out of the way and wait for the light. Oh, that is a wobbly bobbly cattle grid. Yeah, no passing. Gosh, okay. That is quite narrow. There's no passing, absolutely no passing at all on that bit, so I'm not at all surprised that they have shoved traffic lights on it, because you really wouldn't want to meet somebody coming around one of these. Blimey. Okay. Let's see how far up here we can actually go. I think we can go further up. Well, we are going to go further up because we're doing this as a charging point. We're doing this as a west to east. So additional parking, good. We want to go as far up as we can do. And yeah, I'm guessing that basically this is it. So I'm not going to go any further up than that because I am not authorised. Shockingly. Don't they know who I am? And so here we are, in the space of a morning and an hour into the afternoon. I have gone from as far east as we can go at Peterhead to as far west as we can go here at Ardnamurchan, and I do mean as far as we can go, because I'm parked in the most northerly parking spot and no unauthorised vehicles beyond this point. That's it. There is no more land, and if I was to go up there into the lighthouse, basically you're going to see, well, not a lot of anything apart from the sea, an awful lot of the sea. Several hours later and I'm still at Kilhoran. Been chatting with some old friends who are on holiday out here and now heading home. So the route back on this bit is basically following the same route back to Fort William as I came across. Sadly, there isn't another way around other than going to the Corran ferry, and on a Saturday in the summer I just think that's too busy to even think about doing. So we're gonna go up here for a little bit, and then basically the road loops north and back over towards Glenfinnan and that way. So from a journey time perspective, it is suggesting that I'm going to get to the Supercharger in Fort Bill at 5 to 6 and it's 10 to 4. So that's a little way, and then not getting home until something like 10 to 10 tonight. So this will really have been a grand day out, albeit one where I spent an hour and 3/4 sat chatting with old friends, which was kind of the other reason for the trip, other than of course filming for all of you fine people. The weather has definitely cleared though. You can see it's much better than it was, which is good, and hopefully we are going to be free of most of the traffic. It was a wee bit busy in places earlier on, and I know this doesn't look very busy, and this isn't, but trust me. Just plugged in and we're getting 194, 195. It was just showing 208 very briefly, but you can see I'm on 20% power, which is good. So here is the thing. First of all, why is this Model X parked so idiotically? Thanks for that. But also, as I've just been told, we've now got 3 that's working. Apparently all 3 of these are off. So earlier on it was telling me that 1C wasn't working and that 1A wasn't working. The computer's now telling me that only 1C isn't working, but apparently A isn't either, and you can see that B is a little bit on the buggered side, putting it bluntly. So a Supercharger site in one of the busiest locations up here, at least, that you can get, where 3 of the 6 aren't working. That's not great. But on the bright side, I'm at least on a stall and I'm charging, and as you saw, it's charging really quickly. So I'm here once again at the Fort William Supercharger, twice in a day. I need to get a season ticket or something. It's also refreshing to find that, well, they're not all white, because if you recall some of the other Supercharger trips that I've been doing, every car has been white, and I do start thinking that maybe I did something wrong when all I'm ever doing is seeing other white cars. But this time they're all blue, and I do mean all of them. So the Model X, who's parked badly next to me, he's blue. They're blue, they're blue, they're blue, they're blue. I'm the only one, and that does make a change. So I just need another couple of minutes. I have reprogrammed the route so that I'm going to go up the back of Loch Ness rather than the way it was going to take me home, and I'm going to get home on okay power, but I think we need to get going. I think the French people next to me are about to go as well, which is probably helpful. So I'm actually going to leave the video here. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this coast to coast and a bit of the way back again trip. It's certainly been fun, and as usual, it's effortless with a Tesla. So if you've enjoyed it, please like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Hit the bell icon, you know all of that, and I'll see you back here very soon on Just Get a Tesla.